Hey everybody, Heather here. So today we're going to be coloring this super cute Magnolia image called Tilda with Little Pocket. And isn't she just fabulous? I love her. I think she's totally cute. I'll put a link down in the description box to the supplies I use and to the card kit if you'd like to head over to the store and grab anything. I would love for you to come shop with me. Also, if you like the video, please hit the like button. That helps me out a tremendous amount. And if you have any questions, I would love for you to leave me a comment and I would be happy to answer any of those. So I've already stamped my image on Neenah 80-pound solar white cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's color. So I'm going to start out by outlining my image, and I'm going to use B*0 and my Colorless Blender for that. So I'm going to start with my B*0, and I'm going to just start right here by her shoe. Well, let's do this little, she's got a little space between her shoes you can see in between, so I'm just going to color that in real quick, just so I don't forget it. And then I'm just going to go right by her shoe and just work my way all the way around her. And if you do the outlining first, I find that if I get some on her and I want to erase it, it's way easier, not a problem. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go kind of around these little swirls and these flowers. And I'm not being too neat and tidy about it. I'm just kind of filling it in. If it gets some on there, no big deal, because we're going to color those all in anyway. And this is such a light color that you're not really going to see it underneath the other colors. You might a little bit, and if you're concerned about that when you get all done, you can just take your Colorless Blender and erase what you got on your flowers. Me, I'm just going to wing it. I'm just working my way around. Go down this way. There's a little space in between her hand, but she's also got these little leaves right here, so I want to go get those. Up here, and these little circles right here, I'm going to kind of go around those too so that there's no white space hanging out in there. And let's just work our way back down to the bottom of her foot. Get this space between her sleeve, and right here between her hair and her neck she's got a little bit of space, so I'm going to fill that in. And down like that. And then I'm going to grab my Colorless Blender, and this works best if it's full or it's not empty. You get a lot more Colorless Blender on your paper. And I'm just going to go in circles, and it doesn't matter if you go on the girl because there's no color yet, so that works out awesome. And I just want to go all over the color and in here and out to the edge so that it softens that edge up. And I'm going to just work my way back down. Like that. Let's move down here and do her ground next, and for that I'm going to use E44, E43, and E42. And your piece is cut on an oval, so you're not going to have this much space after you stamp your girl. But I just left mine on the square so I can put it in my Project Life album after I'm done coloring her. So I'm going to start with my E44, and I just want to add some shadows underneath of her feet. Just like this, and then I try to bring my ground up past her shoe. I don't want it to be even with the sole, so I'm going to go up here just a little bit. Same for this side. Let's just bring it up past her shoe a bit. Like that. And then I'm going to grab E43, and I want to go past my lines. So you may have less space to work with, so you just make your lines a little bit shorter. Since I have all this gray area, I can just go out as far as I want. And then E42. I think I'll just add a little bit of that over here on the side. And then I go back with my E44 and add a little bit more shadow in. I may bring it down here a little bit more. It depends on the look you're going for. So I think I'll bring this side over here just a little bit like that. Now let's move on to our skin, and I'm going to try a different tone this time. So we're going to try E11, E21, E01, E00, E000. And for cheeks, we're going to use R43, R20, and R30. So I'm going to start with my E11, and let's work on her arm first. So I'm going to take my E11, and I'm going to go underneath of her arm just a tiny bit, where her dress touches, or her shirt touches her sleeve there. And I'm going to come down the back of her arm, and go down the little elbow crease she's got. And same for this side, go down that back side. And then over here, again, I want to go underneath of her sleeve and down along the bottom of her arm. And up here to her hand. And let's do a little bit in here where her hand kind of touches her arm. Looks like it's touching a little bit. And then I'm going to do underneath of her hand. Then I'm going to grab E21, and I want to softly brush just a little bit past my line from the last color. I'll brush on this side. Just lightly add a little bit more color there. And then E01. Over here, and continue brushing onto from the last color up so we can soften that line. E00. And then my E000 to fill it in. And I brush clear across the whole section so I blend all those colors together. And then if you wanted to darken it up, you would just go back over it with all the colors again. I'm going to move up here to her face. So again, we're going to start with E11. And let's go ahead and do her chin down here just a little bit first. So I'm going to give that a little dab of E11 right here. And then I'm going to use my E11 on this side of her face because it's dipping down. This, and I'm going to bring it over here to her where her sleeve is touching her face, like that. And then I'm going to grab E21, and I'm going to just get a little bit in here underneath of her neck. And then I want to do this side of her face. I'm going to take my E21 over here on this side. And work my way back over here to where I started with my E11. Let me turn my girl a little bit here. And then I want to soften this E11 line, so I'm going to brush right on top of it and then come out past just a little bit. And then I'm going to take E01, and let's fill this little section on her neck in. And then we're just going to brush and add more color to her face. And same for this side, we also want to brush that one. Just feather right along her cheek there. E01. Again, pull it out a little bit further. And I'm not worried about it being too blotchy because I'm going to go over it again after I add the cheek color. E000. And then I'm going to add some cheeks. So for that, I'm going to use R43. And let's go over here first. And we'll add a little bit on this side. I'm going to go with my R20. And again, touch down on top of the 43 and pull past the edges. And then R30 to soften the edge of that. Okay, and then I'm going to add my cheek color, or my skin color again. So I'm going to start with my E11. And I want to put that on this side of her face. So I'm just going to put a little dabs over here. And then E21. I'm going to turn her over this way so I can do this side. Then E01. E00. E000. And then if I think the cheeks have gotten too light, I will take my R43 and add a little bit more color. And then I'm going to take my E000 and just go over those. Let's go do her hair next, and for that I'm going to use E35, E53, and E50. So I'm going to start with my E35, which is the darkest. And let's go down here and add a little bit of that. Let's just start on this side. So I'm going to add a few little streaks down here at the bottom of her pigtail and at the top where the little hairband is. And I'm just going to work my way up. And she's got some great lines here already, so I'm just using my pen to fill some of those, go right over the top of them. And up here, she's got a little space right here between her sleeve and her arm, so I'm going to put a little bit of color in there. And then let's go right next to her cheek. She's got a little bit. And I'm just going to work my way up here. Okay, and then up here, let's do a few little strands in her bangs. And then, of course, we want to do the top up here on the top of her crown. So let's get some of these streaks. And then I'm just going to work my way back down to the other side over here. And so let's go down here and do the end of this ponytail. And work my way up here, adding some of these dark little streaks she's got going there. Next I'm going to go with my E53, and let's start down here at the end of this ponytail again. And we're just adding some more strands in. There. And I always try to touch down on top of my other color that I just put down, just to soften the edges a little bit. It doesn't have to touch every strand, but I try to put a little bit on each little section there. And down here on this ponytail. And then I'm going to go with my E50 to fill it in. So I'm going to go over here with this ponytail and just rub right over the top of the whole thing. Over here. And then I like to go back after I have it all done and add some more dark color in. So I'm going to do my E35 again and just add a few little streaks back on there. And you can add as little or as much as you like. So next, let's go do her outfit, and for that I'm going to use W4, E84, and E81. I'm going to start with my W4, and I just want to use this just a little bit in the places where I think I want to add some shadow. So let's do this sleeve, just a little bit underneath of her little chin there, like that. And then I'm going to go with my E84, and I want to go right over the top of it. Let's come down here a little bit. And then take the E81 to fill it in. Okay, and then let's go do the other sleeve. And again, I'm going to take my W4 first, and I'm just going to add a little bit up here towards the top. I'm going to give her sleeve a little dip right there at the top too. And then I'm going to go with E84. And I want to add a little bit of definition down here on her sleeve. So I'm going to take my E84, and I'm not going to quite go to the edge so that it's got a little bit of a white spot. And I want to do each one of these cute little ruffles. And just pull up just a little bit in there and add a little bit of color to each little section. And then of course I want to go up here where I added my gray and put a little bit of this color on. And then I'm going to fill it in with my E81. So now let's go do her little collar up here. So again, I've got W4, and I want to add just a little bit at the top of each of these little sleeves. And then E84 right over the top of it. I'm going to bring it down the sides of her little outfit too. So you fill in that little crease there a little bit. And then E81 to fill it in. Now let's go down here and work on her little outfit. So grab your W4, and I want to add my W4 right in here next to her arm for a little bit of shadows. And let's also do the back side of this pocket underneath the back right here. And then I'm going to add it also right here in the crook of her little leg. I'm just going to go down the side of her little outfit and add a little bit right like that. And then I'm going to grab my E84 again. So I'm also, for my E84 for this, I want to go down these little lines she's got right here. So let's do that one. And I've exaggerated them, so I went down just a little bit more. Like that. And I'm going to turn her a little bit so I can flick a little bit better. And then I want to go right next to her body and over my W4. I'm pulling out a little bit farther. I'm going to bring this down next to her pocket here and go right along the seam of her legs there. Down the back of this pocket, but I also want to do this side. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of color there. And then let's bring our E84 around the back of our little outfit and along the bottom. And let's do a little bit over here. Let's bring this bottom part up. And then she's got a little crease right here in her pants, so I'm going to put some color in. And then for the pocket, I want to go around the back, and I'm just going to use the stitching lines as my guide and just fill in on one side. Like that. And then I'm just going to brush over the entire thing with my E81. So let's just start down here at the pocket. And I want to make sure to touch down on top of the last color there so that I can soften that edge. Just work my way around. Brush over. And I think I'll go back and do it one more time just to soften those lines up just a little bit more. Now let's add a little bit of color to the lace here at the bottom of her outfit, and for that I'm going to use W1. And I didn't do anything fancy. I'm just going to go right along the edge of her bottom of her pants. And then for each of these little sections that kind of pulled out, I kind of brought my pin down a little bit just into each one to add a little bit of color. And then after I got all my coloring done, I went and added some stickles on top of that. So you can't see the color, it's just, we'll add a little bit of shadow in there. For her shoes next, let's do W6, W4, W2, and W0. So I'm going to start with my W6. And I'm going to go over the top of this little crease she has in her shoe. And then I want to go down the back. And I want to add a little bit here along her sole like that on this side. Same for this side. I'm going to go down the side and then come down and leave a little bit of sole. But I also left a little bit of white space down here at the bottom. See if I can get a little bit closer. So you can see a little bit of white space down there. And then for this shoe again, I want to go over that little bump and then down each side and leave a little bit of white space under the sole there. And then W4. So I'm going to brush right. Make sure to go over this little crease. And then I'm going to cover up a little bit of this space on the sole. And W2, and up here I'm going to fill in up here underneath this lace, just so I don't have to mess with it anymore. And then W0 to fill it in. And I'm going to go back over it again, soften it up just a little bit more. I think I'll go back over it just a little bit with my W4. And then W2, it wasn't blending quite the way I wanted, so I'm going to add just a little bit more color that I can mush around a little bit. And then over again with my W0. There, that's much better. So these flowers up here, let's go ahead and start with the stems, and for that we're going to use G24, G21, and G20. I'm going to start with my G24, and these are pretty tiny, so you're just going to add a little dab underneath her hand on each little stem. So they're pretty dinky. And then let's go up here and add some to our leaves. So here's a leaf, there's a leaf, whoops, and I colored out the lines. And let's get these little stems a little bit, and then pick some of these leaves over here, but you just want to add a little dab of color. And then I also did the little dots. I just colored those in with my green. So if they're pretty small, I colored them all the way in. If there's a little bit of space, we'll add some more color in there too. Okay. And then I'm going to go with G21. And just go back and see if we can add a little bit more color to some of the leaves. Some of them are too small. So I'm going to add some to the stem right there. And then my G20 to fill it in. So I think I'll add some of these little dots down here. For the flowers, let's use R39, R35, R32, and YR16 and Y18. So for the red flowers, I'm going to start with my R39, and those I'm going to use on these big flowers, these two big flowers down here. So with my R39, I'm just going to give each little petal a little dab of color. And I'm going to go with R35. Again, we're just going to add a little bit more color on there. They're flowers, they don't have to be perfect. And then R32 to fill them in. And for the yellow flowers, let's use YR16 and Y18. So I'm going to start with YR16, and let's give each little section here a little dab. And for this one, I'm just going to kind of go down the middle a little bit. And then I'm going to fill them in with my Y18. Like so. And then it looks like I didn't read the instructions. That's what I get for not reading the instructions first. But it appears that I use BG72 to do these little dots. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my BG72 and go right over the top of that green. Make them just a little bit darker. So that leaves us with adding the little dots on our cheeks. So I'm going to use my Sharpie white paint pen, and it's a water-based pen, to add the cheek dots. And I shook the pen with the lid on, otherwise it sprays out the end, so you want to make sure to shake it with the lid on, and just add a couple little dots there. And then I added some Stickles Stardust, again, to the lace down here at the bottom of her outfit, and then to all of these little flowers up here, I put a little bit of Stickle Stardust on there. So that is our beautiful Tilda with Little Pocket. Isn't she cute? I just totally love her. She's just adorable. And again, here's the finished card. Awesome. So if you want this kit, I'll put a link down in the bottom in the description box, and you can just click on it and head right over to the store. And remember, they are limited, so if you want one, don't wait, because they could sell out. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. I hope you had fun coloring with me today. Bye.